I wanted to go over this because this is just one of those songs that I recorded. I didn't mix it at all, and then I just went on to the next recording. Sometimes I do that when I have a lot of ideas, or I wrote a bunch of stuff down. I just have the mic out already, record all the songs at once, get all the takes that I like, and then I sit down for a session of mixing. So here we are mixing it. I thought I'd take you guys step by step on how I would approach this. So the reason why you guys are seeing Nectar on here right now is because when I do tracking, I like to take a little bit of the harshness out of the vocal and kind of polish it a little bit so I can kind of hear how it's going to sound later. And I already know I'm going to put Nectar on there anyway, so it's just a good first step for me. My next step normally is always putting a de-esser on, and I put that before Nectar because I like to take out those harsh and S's sound so they don't get processed and boosted in any way. I normally go for the same setting almost every time. It's around 18.5 on the attack. And then release, I play with that a little bit, just depending on how the vocal sits. I watch the meter and I make sure that the arm isn't going over 10. I like it to fall around 7 and even better at 5. So it's not taking or reducing too much, making the person sound like they don't have a tongue. Or that like they don't know how to pronounce any of their words. So this sounds pretty natural in my mix, and it's worked pretty universally for me.
Now I was like, oh my fucking god, I put a knot between them and I freed my jaw. I had to do it, keep my one and I spit raw. A bit harder living, Darth, Darth Maul.
So that's falling pretty nice. I'm not going to dial that in any more than it needs to be. I like to use Neutron to take out mud and add presence. So the way I do that is we drop down to a low shelf, and I know my voice pretty well, so I come out around 85 to 90, and I go down to around negative 12 dB on that. Where I add presence in my voice is around the 450 to 480 range in the EQ. So I'll give that a listen, make sure that things are sitting correctly.
My fucking god, I put a knot between them and I freed my jaw. I had to do it, keep my one and I spit raw. A bit harder living, Darth Maul.
That sounded pretty good right there. And the next part that I do in these areas is 3K range. There's a lot of harshness, especially when I'm mixing for a prolonged period of time. I hear it in my headphones, and I like to just take that out because it's harsh on your ear, and I imagine if it's harsh to me mixing, it's going to be harsh to somebody sitting at their house listening to it. So I don't want to be hurting people's ear out there, so I always take out the 3K hertz. Do that with a bell, and I normally do a pretty steep bell. Put that around 9, and I drop that to 6. Over here, I like to brighten it up a bit. At the 12K range, I only boost it around 0.5 because we're going to do other EQs. That's it for Neutron. CLA is the next plugin that I like to use on my vocals. I'm just going to go through the default settings until I hear something that catches my ear right.
Now I was like, oh my fucking god, I put a knot between them and I freed my jaw. I had to do it, keep my one and I spit raw. A bit harder living, Darth Maul. Now I was like, oh my fucking god, I put a knot between them and I freed my jaw. I had to do it, keep my one and I spit raw. A bit harder living, Darth Maul. Now I was like, oh my fucking god, I put a knot between them and I freed my jaw. I had to do it, keep my one and I spit raw.
Now that sounded pretty good to me. What these really are, pretty self-explanatory. Bass and treble is going to bring out exactly what they say. And then what I added here is just a little bit of a stereo widener. It does have a bit of a chorus sounding effect to it, and with the low lethargic Yeti voice, it just kind of brings in a natural layer to it, to me. Next plugin that I like to use is Arvox. I like to compress after CLA, or if I'm not using CLA, and another effect that I like to use to bring out color, there's always going to be a compressor after that. My favorite preset on this one is Vocal Presence, and I like to use that as the bare bones to get me started. And then what I'm looking for compression is around -3 dB of compression, and that's perfect. So I'll be watching the meter here, and then I'll be dialing in accordingly.
Now I was like, oh my fucking God. I put a knot between them and I freed my jaw. I had to do it, heat my warning, I spit raw. A bit hard to live it, Darth Maul.
So we're getting around -3 dB compression there. So we can move on to the next task. What I took out in the EQ chain back in with the Sweat 73. Get myself started with the vocal preset, and then I start listening. So what I'm really going to do here is I'm just going to add some high end in. I'm going to take some low end back out, and we're going to mess with the middle frequency a little bit here and see where that falls.
Oh my
fucking God. I put a knot between them and I freed my jaw. I had to do it, eat my warning, I spit raw. A bit hard to live it, Darth Maul. And I was like, oh my fucking God. I put a knot between them and I freed my jaw. I had to do it, eat my warning, I spit raw. A bit hard to live it, Darth Maul.
I did say I was going to take some low end out there, but as you see me messing around with the knob there, I wanted to kind of show you guys the extremes of each frequency to show you what I was exactly adding or taking out. With this EQ, it's additive EQ, so I'm adding more or less than subtracting. I know I said I was going to take some of that low end out, but as I was listening to it, adding a little bit more dB on the low end gave it more presence, which I like. So a lot of these turning the knobs, and a lot of this is going by feel and how I feel, and if that sounds good to my ear, I feel like I need to move on to the next step. So that's looking pretty good for the chorus direct line chain right there. So let's go ahead and move on to the singing, which is what you're hearing come in right after the chorus there. I don't think I faded any of these in and out, so let's get that done real quick. Clean our tails up.
Now I was like, oh my fucking God. I put a knot between them and I freed my jaw. I had to do it, heat my warning, I spit raw. A bit hard to live it, Darth Maul.
All coming from the same person, me, the comic of the Aussie. I can drag some of the things that I've already done here on the vocal chorus, and I can start adding them to other stuff that I have here. What you're seeing over here is just the instruments that I use for the track. But I'm gonna go ahead and
Had a ball, someone gave me a wine. Heard a shot, got a knife in my bag. Next thing I know, under attack. Gurgle notes played on my soundtrack. Had a ball, someone gave me a whack. Heard a shot, got a knife in my ship.
well then. Doesn't help when I add all of the plugins to the rap vocal instead of the singing one. We were gonna do that anyway, so little preemptive strike there. But let's get these all moved over. I promise I somewhat know what I'm doing.
Next thing I know, we're under attack. Gurgle notes played on my soundtrack. Close my eyes just like they say bright lights. Before I realize that I'm still alive. Total carnage, how did I survive? I wake up in my bed at 6:45. Bad dream played like a horror movie revised. Fight or flight, tend to keep tight on the
I'm gonna pump a little bit more 12K into it, and then I'm gonna take this stereo effect down quite a bit because I want it to sound as natural as possible.
Darth
Hell may need supplies, simply evil. Which one of you let it in? Oh, these people a long time. Oh, kinship thicker than brethren. Looking around, imposter bound to be ready, and we keep deceptive.
How to live it, Darth.
Didn't realize I left the delay on these. Let's turn that off. Let's keep them dry for now, and we'll add
Comic
later.
Darth
Hell may need supplies, simply evil. Which one of you let it in?
That sounded pretty good.
Inside, hiding, vibing, music keeps the lights on. Placing notes upon bonfire song to keep the bond calm. Take rips all day long, forge tongs, turning hot Damascus. Cracked in rap bar, not trying to be the fastest. Madness is the joke to other people. They're saying they don't like it, telling big fibs. Same kind of people that still need bibs, acting like they own the game because they call dibs. Oh my fucking god, I put a knife between them and I
Want a little bit more presence out of that rap vocal. I'm not hearing it enough. So that could be me adding another compressor is what I'm thinking I'm going to do here. So Renaissance compressor is a good one to go with when I hear something like this. I like to add it to the end, and then I'll go through a couple of the presets, see where we're falling here. Let's go.
eyes, just like they say, bright lights. Before I realize that I'm still alive. Total carnage, how did I survive? I wake up in my bed at 6:45. Bad dream played like a horror movie revised. Fight or flight, tend to keep tight on the outside. Inside, hiding, vibing, music keeps the lights on. Placing notes upon paper, notes played on.
That's the stirrup. Let me make sure that we're
On my soundtrack.
the right amount of dB here. Let me take a look.
Close my eyes, just like they say, bright lights. Before
And we're just hitting that -3, and that's just a good vocal range that I found, where you're not taking too much and you start sounding like you're muffled and you're talking into a can or some kind of box or something. But what it needs now is some wetness.
my jaw, had to heed my warning. I spit raw, been out of living dark.
Comic
Live it, Darth.
Comic
Darth
Hell may need supplies, simply evil. Which one of you let it in? Oh, these people a long time. Oh, kinship thicker than brethren. Looking around, imposter bound to be ready, and we keep decepting, cause the others are closing in. Gather what you can, food, sound, intent. Some of us are injured, so please, proceed slowly then. Had a boss up
Listen to the rap part now.
soundtrack. Close my eyes, just like they say, bright lights. Before I realize that I'm still alive. Total carnage, how did I survive? I wake up in my bed at 6.
Well, that sounds pretty damn good. And it'll kind of just follow that into the rest. I'll show you the last little lethargic Yeti rap part, and we'll make sure that that's at the right volume level.
Live it, Darth.
Comic
To be quite frank, I wanna grab you by the shirt, yank you out the door and beat your ass blank. Think big like a tank, rolling over cars, ready for war sank when the enemies took their flank.
And that's sounding pretty good. I know this was a longer video. I didn't go over exactly everything that I would do when mixing this, but this is just the mixing track. It's not the master bus or anything. It's not the complete master of the track. So that may be for next week. I'll go over the master bus for this and show you the last bit of this song and we'll end it there. I'm Kamikaze, and this is how you, oh god damn it, that's how you mix it. That's the name of the show. You'll see me next week Saturday. God damn it. Peace.